hear he's got his own billiard room.
Yes, it's what do you call it, Kramer? The billiard room? No. The name. The billiard? Not the billiards. It was. Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the place to be. The place to be. Yes, it's the place to be. Then I shall be there.
Now, it's time. Live and in living color.
The Grandy Man can.
Time to play the game.
Well, you always left me satisfied and smiling. So.
That's what she said.
Why do I want this?
Yeah.
Because I want to make bank, bro. I want to get ass. I want to drive a Range Rover.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now time for the Place to Be Podcast. And now your hosts, Justin Rosero and Scott Friscolo.
We in the red light district. We in the red light district.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to another exhilarating episode of the Place to Be Podcast. I am your co-host, Justin Rosero. With me, as always, is the man who always makes it rain in Norwalk's red light district, and that is Scott Criscolo. Scott, how you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Rosero. Hello, everyone. Welcome to number 72, the William Refrigerator Perry version of the Place to Be Podcast. No. Hope everyone's enjoying their midweek. Although not as exciting as when my PIC was giving us the final day of the regular season, we will keep you abreast of the League Championship Series. Justin will keep tabs on the ALCS, which was mired in a rain delay in Detroit. I will keep tabs on the National League Championship Series going on also in the Midwest where it's raining. I don't know if this game got delayed at all, but it looks like it was because it's only in the fifth inning in St. Louis, where the Cardinals trail the series 2-1, but lead Game 4 4-3.
Tricks.
Well, you know what? They could be some tricks. Tricks up the Cardinals' sleeves. They had a lot of doubles early in the game. So we'll keep tabs on the games for you as the evening progresses. Of course, being midweek, it is our headlines/cornucopia of fun and games edition of the Place to Be Podcast. We have a full shopping list of excitement for you tonight, as always. We'll, of course, open with the rundown of this past week's shows. Raw from Oklahoma City and the SmackDown taping. We will then, and we usually don't do this, but since this is their WrestleMania, we will preview Bound for Glory.
There's a few things that we got to talk about on that show.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So we'll cover Bound for Glory, which is I think this Sunday.
Yep.
Then we will have a interesting story, major development.
I'm starting to lose faith in this because I haven't seen it anywhere else. So
interesting. Well, we'll keep tabs on it, but we'll let you know. And you PTB Nation, let us know what you think or if you have any credence in it either. We will, of course, recap, we will recap this week's Lucha Libre Masked Warrior, Lucha Libre USA show. We had some technical issues, but we do have some of the major points that went on this past week. Of course, we will go through the news and notes brought to you by your good friends at WrestleChat.net. Got a few things to talk about. Of course, the always growing Place to Be Nation asshole of the week. After this past week's number 71, many feel maybe Ludwig Borga and the country of Finland deserve to be the assholes of the week. But we have a lot of great nominees for that for this week's award. Of course, we'll give you an update on the Major League Playoffs and other stories going on in Major League Baseball. And my PIC is still spewing the vitriol, and we'll give him some time later for that.
Oh yeah, I got a lot to say.
Yes, and of course our NFL Week 6 picks. Because I got to make up for my Week 5, which was an unmitigated disaster. So we have we're gonna have a good rundown of fun stuff for you tonight on episode 72 of the Place to Be Podcast. Why don't we dive into our Raw and SmackDown results?
No one wrote and said anything about what we had asked. If they liked the way we did the Raw and SmackDown stuff. So I guess we'll keep going because we didn't hear anything negative or positive. Okay. So status quo, I guess. Raw. I got a lot to say about this, too, because what started as what could have been one of the more unique, exciting Raws possible quickly devolved into a real shitty quagmire of a mess, I thought.
I concur. And talking with a lot of people, including the Clown Prince himself, Matt Rotella, to this week, I think a lot of people thought that this week's Raw turned into a colossal piece of crap. As we got to the end.
I've seen people online go as far as calling it the worst of the year, one of the worst ever. I don't know if it was that bad, but from how it started, with a lot of optimism. It made something fresh, something different. It just got really ugly really fast.
Yeah.
Gosh, your cunt is in the sink.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot to do with him, too.
Yeah.
So he better stop wasting time in the sink and get down to business. So why don't we begin? It began very interesting. We skipped the. When was the last time they actually played the Open?
Yeah, I don't even know, honestly.
I feel like they haven't played it like in 6 weeks.
Which means they probably played it like last week. We just didn't.
Yeah, most likely. No, I don't think they did, but I'm sure it's been recently, but it seems like it hasn't. We opened at the, I think, what were they? The Ford. They're probably at the Ford Arena or Ford Center, whatever it's called, home of the Thunder in Oklahoma City. Keep tabs on that, by the way. Remember, we're in Oklahoma City. Just
surprised me a bit because Lou Albano is a big, fat, sloppy pig.
Well, we are in barbecue country, so there are probably a few of them that fit that tag. Unfortunately,
right up his alley.
So we the camera pans the arena, and as expected, no announcers. The 3 seats that would normally be occupied by Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, empty. There's camera people. Were they scabs? Who knows? Went backstage. There was Triple H. Crowd cheered, of course. He talks to, what was it, the hairdresser? I don't know who that was. Goes through the ropes. Somebody's playing the music. Must have been some scabs in the arena. Because somebody obviously played the music, although they probably don't make much money anyway. He comes down and, says that people are here. I'm here. You're here. There's people outside in street clothes singing Kumbaya. Don't want to come in the arena.
All right, now I'm going to ask you right off the bat.
Yep.
Of course, he says, no one else is going to wrestle. I'm not a quitter, though. I'm here. Even if I have to take a broomstick and wrestle it for 2 hours, I will. And he said, I've wrestled most of those guys out there. And the broomstick would give him a better match than they would. How do you take that comment?
Well, there's probably some guys out there that aren't better than a broomstick.
At this point, is Triple H on the level of like Manny Ramirez, where it's just Manny being Manny was always the catchphrase? Is it now just Triple H being Triple H? Like, he's never going to change. He's just going to say this stupid shit, and we're all supposed to just accept it, I guess. And
why does that line piss people off? I mean,
because it's not a one-time thing. It's a trend with him. He's always takes these shots at the rest of the locker room, how they're not as good, they can't wrestle, and it's fine if he's a heel. But here he's supposed to be the face, and
but he's attacking heels, though. Think about who the faces of this group is.
No, everyone that was out there. Yeah, but everyone that's out there, he said. All the people out there. It's fine in the broad scope. If someone else has it. It's just the fact that he always says stupid things like this.
I'm surprised I'm surprised you of all people who usually kind of lets most things slide.
Well, it's just the fact that
it bothers you, because usually nothing like this usually bothers you.
No, it doesn't bother me. I just not necessary. Like, the broomstick line is fine. He could have said, I'm going to wrestle a broomstick for 2 hours like so many other greats have in the past, or something like that. Why do you have to bury, or how about like if I was in another company, I'd have to, or whatever, something like that. Like, why do you have to bury your talent? I never got that. I never liked that, where guys
I think sometimes
bury the talent.
You know what it is? I think sometimes when Triple H I like it better sometimes, his promos when he's a heel. I think when he's a babyface, I think he tries to overdo it with the fans. Like, I think in his mind he thinks, I think the fans will dig if I
think he's just a prick.
Those guys. Well, yeah, he is a prick, but you know what? Most of them are pricks, so, what are you going to do?
I know, but the difference is he's the one in the position to say stuff, and he always says it, and no one else really ever says shit like that. If someone said that about him, it'd be like this big fucking deal, but no one would say it about him. It's just that he doesn't have to say it. He just doesn't have to. He says it to try and be funny and cute, and he just doesn't need to do it.
He's had his moments. I mean, the one that I think, this one doesn't bug me as much. For me, the one that will always be unforgivable. And there are some. I mean, I don't give him a pass on everything.
Well, the worst is when he buried the whole tag division that time.
That was bad. And the one where he called Lillian a horse face. That one I have no patience for. That was just wrong. That's the worst one for me, is the horse face one.
He's just taken a lot of shots in the past, and this one is just like, you just roll your eyes at this point. Like I said, it's Triple H being Triple H. All right, yeah, we know you're in charge, you're the best, everyone else sucks, blah blah blah. It's like, this is old at this point. It's like, all right, get some new material.
No, I understand your point. All I'm saying is I think his problem is when he's a babyface is that I think he tries to be too funny and thinks, I think he thinks internally, I think they'll laugh at this. If I say that, I think they'll really laugh.
Of course,
It
that's
sounds
what he's saying.
cute.
Yeah, of
I think
course.
they'll laugh.
Yeah, he's
But in
trying,
reality,
like I said, he's trying to just be cutesy, and it's just.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, but we've already wasted enough time.
It's unnecessary. My answer to your question is, did he need to say it? No, but it doesn't piss me off as much as some other stuff.
Well, that's my point, though. He didn't need. It was unnecessary.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I'm not as mad about it I'm not gonna. The Lillian Horseface one is the one that'll always be very disappointed in him, because that's just wrong. That was mean. That was mean spirited. This was just like, ha ha ha, yeah, you're the greatest. All right, move on. Next thing. Yeah, it was unnecessary. It was extra words that didn't need to be said. So I agree. It was probably unnecessary, but I'm not like stupid asshole. Like I'm sure other people are probably more pissed off than either of us are. But anyway, so he throws those jabs out. And then the part of the open of the show that I was hoping to see, and that is John Cena coming out. Those that did not show up last week. Right. John Cena and then Sheamus. John Cena comes out first, does his usual soft, kind of generic. I'm really getting annoyed at his promos now. They're just so blah. Nothing's got any. He talks like suddenly he's become very monotone. Yeah. I understand what he's saying. Everybody wants to know why. He's like he doesn't look at anybody anymore. I don't know what his problem is. He's like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like he's looking down. And really, and in reality, although you're probably going to think this is funny, but do we really need the poor Mike Adamle dig?
No, I thought it was funny. I mean, that was okay. Like, I liked how you went through all the GMs and then mentioned him.
That was funny.
I liked the guest star GM line.
Yeah. What was it, from Shaquille O'Neal to what was the other one? He said from Shaquille O'Neal to crap, I can't remember the other one. He said from Shaquille O'Neal to somebody. It was pretty funny. So he says, you know what? I don't have to be friends, but you seem to be straight up, so I'm gonna stick with you. Then Sheamus comes out, and this was the best part of the promo for me. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, it was good, but of course we get Sheamus, and it makes sense. But he's going to put over Triple H, right? You kicked my ass, but I respect you. This is just what I'm saying. And I'm going to get this right, antithesis of what Triple H is saying. He's out there burying everyone else, but Sheamus has to come out and pay respect. It's just very much like the qualms and issues everyone used to have with Dusty Rhodes back in the NWA late 80s, where if Dusty's there or not, you're talking about Dusty and you're always paying your respects to Dusty, and everyone else, isn't on his level. And it's just old. I was just, again, rolling my eyes like Sheamus, like, all right, fella, I beat you, but you came out and now I respect you. It's just, I don't know. It's like, do we really need that?
I think the problem with the whole thing, well, let's finish talking about it, and then I'll get my point. So Sheamus does his thing, and he stays. And then out comes Punk, and I'm sure this pissed a lot of people off, because now everyone thinks Punk's kissing ass. But Punk said, in fact, he got a tweet that said, "Oh, why are you being nice to everybody?" And then he responded back, "Because you're an idiot." I thought that was funny.
Well, it is a little weird, though. Like, all these people that, he's had all these major issues with Cena and Triple H. All of a sudden, he's buddy-buddy with them. But it's fine. I can let it slide, because that's wrestling. That's how it's always been. So
right.
And just to say here, Texas has a leadoff double in the 11th off fat-ass Valverde. So
okay. Salas has come on for St. Louis. There's 2 outs in the top of the 6th. The Cardinals still lead 4-3. Right. In fact, the Cardinals will note here, the Cardinals have not won a postseason road game since Game 1 of the 1982 World Series. Again, against the Cardinals. That was when, of course, the Brewers were in the American League.
Yep.
But anyway, so out comes Punk, goes through the same thing. I started this, but he did make one good point, though. He did make a logical point. He said, the difference between me and everybody else is I didn't leave in the middle of a deal. I didn't break any promises. I didn't break anything. My contract was up, and I left. These people have made promises to all of you to stay here and wrestle, and now they're crying and they leave. So logically, for the first time, logic made sense here. Right. Yes, Punk left when his contract was up.
No, yeah, he did make sense. So I don't have too much of a beef with it.
Yeah, this part was fine. But yeah, you're right. It was the whole first 5 minutes was so sugary.
Yeah. You're
like, oh, this is.
My issue is that Triple H never says shit like that, and everyone else has to kiss his ring. It's just annoying.
Yeah. Well, I was expecting more out of all three of them as much as I did Triple H. So anyway, he says, well, we're all here. Why don't we just have some fun? So we had Punk versus Sheamus, which was a good match.
No,
I'm sorry, Cena versus Sheamus.
And Punk went into commentary, and Triple H. This is what I liked right out of the gate, because I guess it was going to be something different. It's a war of attrition. How are we going to fill the show? Okay, you guys wrestle, I'll ref, Punk go do commentary. And it was going along well, something different or something fresh. I was intrigued, like maybe they'll bring out some FCW guys or what, maybe they'll figure out something interesting to do to fill. How are they going to fill 2 hours? And then, we're barely through the match, and Vince McMahon comes out, and it's like,
Yep.
Come on, already that's it. Like we always say, they're just afraid of change, something fresh, something different. And we got to end it 15 minutes into the fucking show. And to me, this is where the show started to go downhill. First, we get a Vince return, no build up, no nothing. He just comes walking out, like there's nothing. Like why not advertise it that he's going to be on tonight? Why just have him surprise come out? It's just. You had this build up of him being off over the last like 3 months or so, and you just waste his return here marching out. And then he says he met with the board and they sympathize, so they've taken Triple H off control. He's no longer needed running Raw. So first of all, I thought Vince had no power. I thought he was out. So all of a sudden he's got pull with the board of directors. Second of all, did they say is Triple H still the COO though?
Yes.
Okay, so he's just just not running Raw.
Right. I specifically because we on my radio show with Mr. Otello, we talked about it earlier in the week. I replayed the promo on the air, and I said I specifically heard Vince say, "This does not change your role as the COO. This does not change that. You will just not be in charge of Raw."
Okay.
And honestly, so what does that do now? There's the next, and when we get to the end of the show, I have an issue with that specifically. That little bit of logic twist. So
well, and then too, Vince is like, "Oh, I really loved watching Raw's been a hoot all the while," and it's like, what? Nothing's been different.
What's wrong with him?
Nothing's been different. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I didn't get this whole. This thing could have been done so cool. At least could we? You know what? I would have been happy with an hour of it. No, if they want to do something at 10 o'clock, that's fine. But what was it, like 9:15?
Yeah, they've rushed, for God's sake. And they've rushed way too much of this whole storyline. Triple H should have not even wrestled yet. And now he's already no longer running Raw and Vince is back. You know what I mean? It's just been so rushed and out of control. And now Punk is just another guy, which is fine. I mean, he's more established as a player than he was. But now he's just another guy. He's nothing special anymore. Even on commentary, it was kind of like, like a month and a half ago, we would have killed for that 5 minutes of commentary by CM Punk. And now it's just like, oh, all right. Just another face. Yep. So the board wants someone independent with morals to run until they find that person. They have an interim general manager.
Mm-hmm. Yes, your cunt is in the sink.
And we all know who that is.
Yep. There he
Mr.
is.
Funkhauser himself.
MF. There's plenty of things that MF represents.
Yes. So he's officially the interim GM. Now, I was going through, I was watching this, my wife was in the room, and she's like, oh, is it going to be, I forget who she thought maybe it would be, and I said, I thought maybe first, the way Vince was talking, I thought it was going to be Austin, the way he was going on. And then I thought Foley, and I wasn't even thinking Laurinaitis, so how long do you think he lasts in this role? Do you think it's just warm in the seat for Foley?
Yep, absolutely. I think he will be GM for the next 5 weeks, and then they'll make the announcement. I think the announcement will actually be either that night at Survivor Series at the Garden or wherever the hell it is the next night.
Well, I'm wondering if the Survivor Series match now will be for the GM spot or something, because Foley's rumored to be on Triple H's team, so maybe Laurinaitis has his team with Christian and Miz and Truth, and then you get Triple H's handpicked team with his guys, and they're fighting for control of Raw. So maybe that's what they do.
LaTroy Hawkins has come on in the bottom of the 6th for Milwaukee, and Craig just got on with a leadoff single. So the Cardinals
Texas
have
has. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say Cardinals have 1 on, nobody out, bottom of the 6th, up by 1.
All right, Texas has first and second, 1 out. They Mike Young struck out, and they intentionally walked whoever was after him. I missed it to bring up Mike Napoli. So 2 on, 1 out.
Okay. Something I'm curious to see what happens at. I already don't, and to be honest with you, I don't even like this card at Vengeance so far. We'll get to it, but not all of it. We'll get to it in a minute after we do both wrap-ups.
I think it's okay. There's one match when we talk about SmackDown I think they're going to add that I think will help. But
yes, I know what match you're talking about. I can agree with you 100% in that aspect.
No one's going to order or watch it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other issue.
Yeah. So Laurinaitis and now all of a sudden everybody comes back. Oh, everybody's back in, and
they're all thanking
the announcers come back. Everybody comes back, and now the show is back to being, oh wow, look, it's Raw again.
Yep,
wow.
And we got the of course the continued burial train of John Morrison.
Yeah, he
shits on Johnny Ace as he walks in, and then he says, "Well, guess what? You're gonna fight Christian right now, so go to the ring." and Mike Napoli with a base hit. It's just giving Texas the lead, 4-3. As Jordan Duncan cries in his Frosted Flakes.
Yes. Rafael Furcal just bunted Craig over to second, so the Cardinals have a man on second with 1 out for I'm not sure who's hitting for the Cardinals. Someone's up for the Cardinals with one out and a man on second. I'm not sure they haven't put the graphic up yet.
All right, so then we get the match, Christian Morrison, and of course the burial continues even further because Christian beats him in under 2 minutes clean with a spear. So Morrison again continues to job his way out, and we'll get to him. I think we have a news piece on him in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let me see if,
no, actually we don't. His contract's okay, but his contract's up, and he's not coming back.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That was the news piece I had seen. We don't have a thing on it, but the rumor is, his contract's up soon, and he'll be gone. He's got TNA written all over him.
Yeah, I mean he could look right at his girlfriend for this whole mess.
I mean, God, what a fall! Yeah, what a fall for him. Think of back to January when he had that awesome match with The Miz.
Yep.
And Nelson Cruz has just gone deep, so it's now 7-3. So this game's pretty much done. And it's the Fat Clown finally. I knew it was coming eventually. I just wish it came a week ago instead. But
yeah, so the Rangers are 1/2 inning away from taking a 3-1 lead. Yeah. In the ALCS.
Okay, so
John Jay is up for the Cardinals right now with a man on second, up by 1.
I mean, look at where Morrison was early in the year, fighting Miz in that awesome Falls Count Anywhere match for the title, and then heavily involved with the Snooki thing at WrestleMania. That was a big spot they put him in, and that's kind of where it started with Melina, and then with his whole thing about him blowing off Trish and all that stuff. So ever since then, it's been all rapidly downhill, and it's too bad because this is a homegrown guy that really could have been a major star for them.
No, he screwed the pooch. And obviously, everyone was calling this guy over the last couple of years the next Shawn Michaels. Well, even at his worst in 1995, when he was, on drugs or God knows what, or had his head up his ass, Shawn wasn't even this ridiculous. And obviously at that time, the difference there is in 1995, he couldn't afford to be buried because there was nobody else
and
there.
They couldn't afford to let him go because he could have went to WCW and been a star. Now that threat's not there anymore. You think Vince gives a shit if he hand wraps guys to TNA? I mean, he's already given him, Kurt Angle and Hogan and all these other guys and Foley.
Anderson and exactly.
I mean, somebody got the Hardys and nothing comes of it. So it's not like it was in the mid-90s when it would have been suicide to hand them Shawn Michaels. So
yeah, exactly.
Different situation.
Right.
But yeah, so Morrison, obviously his slide continues. Now, I like this. I hope it stays as like a stable. The Ziggler, Swagger, Christian, and Cody. It's a pretty cool little group.
Yeah, miserable guys. And they're legitimate because you've got Christian, who's, legitimate / main eventer / upper mid-carder. You have both mid-card champions. Both these guys are holding gold. Ziggler, U.S. champ, of course, Cody, Intercontinental champion. And let me tell you something. Does he look even more suave, heelish, wearing the old white belt?
Yep.
Makes him look even better.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, I must say.
Yeah. And Swagger, Swagger's solid. He's a solid enough in-ring guy.
Yeah, well, he's the big muscle of the group.
Yeah. So I like that group, too. I'm sure they'll find a way to screw that up. But
yeah, I hope they keep them all together. It's a perfect heel stable.
Be a good Survivor Series team against somebody.
I was frozen today!
Yeah, well, most of those watching the show got frozen after a while. So after that...
we get Mark Henry.
Hand down a bit here. Yes, Mark Henry. I'm just panning down. Yes, Mark Henry came out. Obviously, for those that watched SmackDown last Friday, Big Show has returned. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Big Show was taken out by Mark Henry at Money in the Bank. And, of course, he wants his revenge. He wants his World Heavyweight title match. He wants to he wants to Pillmanize Mark Henry's ham hock leg. And after doing these various things, he ended up getting his title shot, if you watch SmackDown on Friday. He did chokeslam Mark Henry through the announce table.
Yep.
And did almost Pillmanize his leg, but then Teddy stopped him.
And before I forget, I wanted to give a plug. On Twitter, if you guys check out Seth Mates, the old writer for WWE, he usually gives Raw like a little, not report, but his thoughts on Raw the next day, and he lit into the show. And it was really, really, it's not just bashing it to bash it. He gives a lot of interesting ideas and why they did things incorrectly with a lot of this stuff. So check him out, Seth Mates. I think it's just at Seth Mates. Very interesting. He really gets into the whole opening segment and how they misfired and how they should have done it, and pretty interesting stuff. And he's a fan, so he's not just like being a disgruntled ex-employee. He comes across as someone who legitimately wants to see the product be good. So
right. So with 2 outs and a man on second, Albert Pujols is being intentionally walked. He's a .462 lifetime hitter against LaTroy Hawkins, so this is probably a smart move. So the Cardinals will have first and second with 2 outs.
Well, LaTroy Hawkins is your age, so it's no surprise.
He's also been on like 11 teams too. It seems like, actually I shouldn't say that. It seems like he's not, But he was at Minnesota. I didn't really. He was in Minnesota for like 7 years.
Yeah, he was there for a long time. Of
really
course, he's infamous with the Yankees because he had the number. They gave him the number 21, and the fans just berated the shit out of him because he had the audacity to wear Paul O'Neill's number, I guess. So he ended up giving up the number and then being forced out of there.
Yeah, exactly. So Pujols has walked, and now Matt Holliday is coming up with 2 on and 2 out, and 1 swing could also put this game away as well, with the Cardinals leading 4-3.
All right, so Orton faces Mark Henry here. He has the hits the RKO, but Cody comes in for the DQ, draws that. Then they get into their brawl, and Cody puts the bag over Orton's head and laughs like a crazy motherfucker. So pretty good.
Yeah, yes. This feud is, when we do our end of the year, and we will have an end of the year awards podcast to wrap up the year in wrestling. I tell you, my early candidate, you're going to think I'm nuts, but my early candidate for Wrestler of the Year is Randy Orton. Because the guy put on not 1, but 2 stellar feuds since going to SmackDown. His feud with Christian, and as it's burgeoning, because it's just getting started, his feud with Cody.
Yeah, and his feud with Punk early in the year was pretty good, too.
Yeah, so there's no doubt for me that my early candidate for Wrestler of the Year, if they do the Slammies again, which I'm sure they probably will, is Randy Orton. The guy's been amazing.
Yeah. So we got a Diva tag, Kelly and Eve against Tamina and Rosa. It's just a
really Kelly and Eve are not facing Natalia fucking
I know
for like the 8th week in a row.
Nothing special there though. Kelly and Eve win. It's just to continue this whole Kelly's going crazy angle. So whatever, take it or leave it. Okay, then we get what possibly could have been one of the worst moments in Raw history. Johnny Ace comes out, calls Jim Ross into the ring. Now remember, we're in Oklahoma City. JR's wife was in the front row. And they call him into the ring, and he said, you walked out on the WWE Triple H in Oklahoma last week. Calls him a redneck ingrate, and he fires JR. So JR leaves, shakes Lawler's hand, and walks off solemnly. You could tell he just looks so resigned to taking a shit kicking personally at this point. Poor JR. Yeah. He didn't even care. He didn't even show any emotion. He's like, oh, whatever. This is fucking retarded, so I'm out of here.
I'm so goddamn tired of Jim Ross being the poster boy for whoever can they come up with anything more original? Good guys, GM, JR's rehired. Bad guy GM, JR's fired. Good guy GM, JR's rehired. Bad guy GM,
just leave him alone.
I mean, for Christ's sakes.
And I just don't get Vince's issue with JR. It's like, just leave the guy alone. It's like, you're really going to keep doing this shit to him, and no one knew about this. We'll say this for a minute because we got a couple of news bits on it, but he didn't know this was going to happen. And I'm wondering, just once Johnny Ace gets fired, they'll probably bring him back again when the face GM takes over.
Exactly, because if it is Mick, Mick's going to say, I want Jim Ross back, and it's getting ridiculous now. Right. Again and again, the poor guy gets dicked around. I still don't think he's over the Dr. Heine disaster. So it's just...
No, at least this time he wasn't beaten or made to kiss anyone's ass or anything stupid. He was fired, but...
Yeah.
All right, so then we had a 6-man, Mason Ryan and Air Boom against Otunga, Swagger, and Ziggler. Otunga, we forgot him. He's part of that little heel group, too.
Yes.
Mason Ryan and Air Boom win when Mason pins Dolph, so a pretty big win there for him.
You could tell that they've got... they're looking... obviously, when they're giving this guy more face time, they are looking for the next Batista. And, this is the guy that they're thinking about. And,
interesting. And interesting they have him kind of in this, happy face role, too.
Yeah, he's smiling a lot. And I like the long hair. It's kind of a different look. I like it. I didn't really have a problem with the match. Have we confirmed if Evan Bourne's injury is legit or not?
I have not seen it. I can't tell. Yeah, I didn't. I'm hoping it's just part of the storyline. I'm hoping it's not. That would suck. This has been a really good tag team. They're helping rejuvenate the division. I would hate to see him go down with any kind of serious injury.
Yeah, I agree. Just to let us, in case you didn't see it, and LaTroy Hawkins just struck out Matt Holliday to get out of the jam. So after 6 innings,
been awful.
Yeah, he was 1 for 9 lifetime against Hawkins. And Hawkins isn't even tapping out at 90 on the gun.
No, he's been bad. They walked Pujols before, and Holliday grounded out. Yeah, and now Feliz is in bottom 11th. Miguel Cabrera leading off.
So after 6, we're going to the top of the 7th. Cardinals with a 4-3 lead. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think Mason Ryan is this might be his time to kind of, with everything else with the fucking house of cards falling right now. This is a good time for him to kind of shine a little bit, maybe step out. And he's got the exact calling card that the brass likes. He's a big, jacked up dude. If they can just get him to cut his promos, having an accent could be a detriment and it could be an advantage. And he's Welsh, So he's got that kind of different sounding accent from regular British accent, like say.
I think he's a guy that. I think he's a guy that kind of lay the seeds right now, Raw, and then when he gets to the draft time, if they do or whatever, I see him ending up on SmackDown, and that's where maybe he breaks out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'll be. Well, that's what always happens. You get your visibility on Raw, and then your teeth cutting on SmackDown. Happens with everybody, and that's exactly the way it should be. Because once again, when Raw tries to shine, in the end, it at least seems like through the end of the year, SmackDown may encapsulate it again, but we'll see.
All right,
so now, the 6-man. Oh, go ahead.
After that was a very interesting thing for both of us, something we talk about many times over on this show, and that's the WWE Network.
Yep.
Cole and Lawler say it's going to debut in 2012, and they have a poll on the website to name the first new show based on WrestleMania. So I don't know if you looked into this at all, but they're going to be doing biographies on each WrestleMania.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be the series. And then they had some 4 lame, it's like WrestleMania Rewind, WrestleMania Review, something. I don't know, they got 4 stupid names to vote on, but the idea is really cool. So individual biography just on each episode on one WrestleMania at a time. So, I mean, if the history of WrestleMania DVD is any kind of appetizer, having a whole show on each WrestleMania should be really, really interesting.
Exactly.
And hopefully they go in order. I hope they don't jump around.
No, I hope if you know, I mean, obviously they'll do one on the first one. I hope they go in order too. But if not, you know, they'll do one. They'll do the ones we all care about: 1, 3, 6, maybe 10.
Yeah.
Maybe 14. No, they'll probably do 12.
Yeah, I can see them jumping around, but then I'm afraid that they won't do them all if they jump around.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see them do them all. Incidentally, on a side note, while we're talking about the network, I heard from some. You obviously, I don't want to. This is an industry thing, so indulge my PIC and I for 2 seconds. You know about, of course,
Texas won, just to let you know.
Okay, so Texas won. They're up 3-1. Game 5 tomorrow, back at Comerica. We're going to the top of the 7th in St. Louis with the Cardinals leading 4-3. They're looking to even the series at 2. You know, of course.
No, they're looking to take the lead. It's 1-1 in that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. I forgot that the Cardinals won game 2. Lance Lynn is in now for the Cardinals to start the 7th inning. Nice hair. Looks like B.J. Ryan. You know about the shakeup in management in our company. You know the guys. What happened yesterday. But anyway, I've heard that that the network is going to launch in May.
Okay, so not December now.
Not December. I've heard May. I have a feeling that's going to be pushed back. It's going to be somewhere in between. My prediction. I'm looking at September.
Okay. But
that's my prediction. But as far as I know, our company is still in the lead. So cross my fingers.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I've been talking to some of the people that you know that are muckety mucks, and so we'll see. We'll keep everyone abreast of the situation. But I think that would be a great show to start off with.
Yeah,
definitely. A lot of fun. So, all right. So the network happened. And we talked about that. Cole and Lawler talked about the network. We back from the break, and I tell you something. I'm loving the Bowser vignettes.
Yeah, good stuff.
Of course, we're talking about Brodus Clay. I like the guy. I have nothing against him. Yeah, he's a little dumpy looking, but who gives a crap?
No,
the guy's
a good monster. Old school monster.
Yeah, he's got that look. I think he'll be fine. Then we have our main event, or we thought we had our main event. This made no sense whatsoever. No sense whatsoever. Our main event is Alberto Del Rio, the WWE champion, against CM Punk, who had to eat the pin at Hell in a Cell. Now, they start wrestling, and how long are they wrestling? Like 3 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, not long. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Mr. You-Know-What in the Sink comes out and says, you know what, screw this. Let's make a tag match.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It just made no sense whatsoever. Yeah, screw this. Let's just do something
I think it was just a way that he could say, I reinstated Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah. I feel like I was watching a 1999 Nitro.
Yeah,
that's really what I felt like I was watching. Where was the napkins? I mean, really.
Then, of course, we get the whole thing with Del Rio. He walks out on Punk, so Punk's left alone, which was fine.
Right.
Fine booking there. So.
Keeps Del Rio the heel, and that's fine.
Yeah, and then after the match, of course. Well, it's a DQ, but then your Lord and Savior Triple H comes out and beats the shit out of Punk and Truth, and Laurinaitis announces that we're going to get Triple H and Punk versus Miz and Truth at Vengeance. So I actually think that's an interesting idea. Mix something up a little bit. That's a pretty good. I like when they have big tag matches on these inconsequential pay-per-views. So I'm actually fine with that, and it's going to lead to Survivor Series, obviously, where Miz and Truth will play a big role in that match as well. So that part I'm actually okay with.
Our clown prince there, Matt Rotella, seemed to think that, and I I half agree, I half don't agree. Seems to think that the whole ending with Triple H coming in and him and Punk together just seemed like forced and didn't have any kind of real legitimacy to it. It didn't faze me either way. But Triple H now just looks like just another guy.
Yeah, again, him and Punk both he's back out in his tights. That's it.
Yeah, he's a new T-shirt, and which I was not crazy about. I liked when Triple H was getting away from the black T-shirts. Now he's back to and it really didn't look like a special T-shirt. It looked just like more ink of logos and words that nobody could read because they're all weird, and I just didn't like the shirt. But the point is it just seemed so. Oh wow, look now the two of them hate each other's guts for 2 months, and look now they're teaming with each other. I don't know.
All of Raw was really fucking annoying, and like we said, after that opening segment, it really went downhill. They could have mixed things up. They could have, taken this in different directions, but now we're right back to where we started. Johnny Ace and Vince are basically in control. Triple H is out of control as far as Raw is concerned. He's just another face now. Punk is just another face. Cena's just another. We're just right back to where we started. Cena Del Rio again at the pay-per-view, and of course now next week is the show in Mexico, so I'll be curious to see how things go there.
Yeah, and the weird thing about that is SmackDown is being done first. SmackDown is being taped on. When is Raw going to be? Are they taping it early Monday or is it live Monday night? I don't think it's live, right?
No, it's not live. It's taped, but I don't think it would be early because they're not ahead. I think it might be taped like Sunday or something.
Well, that's SmackDown's being taped Sunday too. So
Raw might be being taped Saturday or Sunday. They're both being taped together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm pretty sure I heard it's not live though, and I don't think they would tape it earlier in the day because Mexico, if anything, they're behind us. Us, but East Coast, so
yeah,
they're not gonna tape it at 12 noon there. So
yeah, that is weird. So we'll keep tabs on that, and of course we'll go over it next week. So that was Raw. It was a colossal piece of crap. Very disappointing, very blah, very dull. And maybe they're making it that way on purpose to try and lull us, and then everything's gonna hit the fan. In a couple months, I don't know. Vince says that he wants this Survivor Series to be like amazing. They're focusing on it big time. It's at the Garden, so they're making a big deal out of it. But I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe this is a good example of how one pay-per-view for this month is fine, because maybe they don't need vengeance.
No,
maybe
they definitely did not need vengeance. They definitely did. That is one of the biggest waste of a pay-per-view we're going to have. And it goes up there with that, what was it, Fatal 4-Way last year? Or was this kind of a throwaway in July or whatever? So we really do not need this Vengeance pay-per-view at all.
Honestly, we don't need, actually we could be done with Vengeance, but we didn't need the Hell in a Cell. That's probably even the more useless pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't even know who would, I would never order this pay-per-view. I don't know who would. I don't know. I cannot imagine spending money on this show. Especially in the midst of all these other shows. I don't get it.
Okay, so the Brewers just went down 1-2-3. So we're in the 7th inning stretch in St. Louis, Game 3, and the Cardinals lead 4-3.
All right, I'm just going to read through SmackDown really quick. And then, I forgot to do the music this week, the Raw and SmackDown music, after you stomped all over it last week.
Well, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was waiting for it. That's why I paused in the beginning, but we didn't have it ready, so that's okay.
All right, I'm going to quickly read SmackDown, then we got to move on to the news. So, Teddy Long opens the show with Johnny Ace, and they announce that there's going to be a 41-man battle royal. The winner gets a title shot at any title of their choice. This is celebrating SmackDown becoming the second longest running episodic TV show ever, which is, of course, bullshit on many levels, but I'm not going to waste time getting into that. So they're saying this is the biggest battle royal ever. Of course, there were a couple of 40-mans back in 1992. One that Tatanka won, and I think Berserker won one or something like that, or on house shows. And one actually aired on primetime. So it's pretty much the whole roster. I'm not going to read all 41 names, but it comes down to Miz and Orton at the end, and Orton wins. And, of course, he picks to face Mark Henry yet again. Sheamus versus Del Rio is made for later in the night. Beth Phoenix beats Kelly in a non-title match. Blue Sin Cara beat Justin Gabriel. It started with the black Sin Cara attacking the original on the ramp. He takes the blue mask off, puts it on, and beats Gabriel himself. So it looks like this feud's definitely rolling on strong. I'm guessing they're going to fight a vengeance again. Del Rio beat Sheamus with the help of Christian. And then Zack and Kofi beat Dolph and Jack Swagger. So maybe there is something to this Bourne thing, unless they're just continuing to play up the angle. And then Orton defeats Henry by DQ, and Cody Rhodes again interferes. And he hits Orton, the Big Show runs out and chokeslams Henry. So, and then Orton RKO'd Cody to end the show. So to me, it looks like we're definitely getting Orton and Cody at Vengeance.
Yeah, well, that'll be awesome. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, so like we said, that's a good feud for him to drop down to, and now we'll get the Big Show Mark Henry match show. We'll talk more about Vengeance next week, though. That we don't really have to get into it tonight.
No.
Okay, so let's move on then to TNA quickly and talk about Bound for Glory. I'm going to read the card quickly, and then I want to mainly talk about the top 2 matches. So main event, which has been confirmed, Hulk Hogan was all over ESPN today, I guess. And he confirmed that Bobby Roode and Kurt Angle for the TNA World title will be the main event, as it should be. So, Bobby Roode, the build-up for him has been tremendous over the last few weeks. Hulk Hogan and Sting in the Battle of the Icons. RVD versus Jerry Lynn in a Full Metal Mayhem match. I don't know if that's some kind of stip, ladders and chairs or something. Falls Count Anywhere, Mr. Anderson and Bully Ray. That should be pretty good. Bully Ray's been very good over the last year. A lot of steps. I Quit match, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, which should also be pretty good. Tag team title, Mexican America versus the Inc. 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 is still around, huh? X Division title, Austin Aries, the champion against Brian Kendrick. And then for the knockout, Winter versus Mickey James versus Velvet versus Madison. So, stacked little card. They had a lot of gimmicks on the show. And I actually think this could end up being a pretty good show. If the main event delivers, then you got the RVD, Jerry Lynn, and Styles, Christopher Daniels will be very good. And I think Mr. Anderson, Bully Ray will be good too. So,
I like. We've seen Christopher Daniels. We've seen both guys live. Did we see AJ Styles? Yeah, Styles was at that Ring of Honor show. I think that match will be very, very good. Bully Ray with the Yankee. I like that he's trying. What is he trying to attack the Southern fans by wearing the Yankee skull cap? Is that what that's about? I don't know. Weird. Who's a Mexican American? I hate to ask this. I apologize. Who's Mexican American? It's Hernandez and who?
Shit.
I honestly don't even remember. Wait, you know what? We don't pretend to be paying attention.
I don't know. Yeah, we just don't watch the.
We're not even going to apologize for it. So
I watched it more in the during the off season of television, like in the summer when there's nothing else on. But now Thursdays, my DVR is loaded, so I cannot remember. I'll find out. Give me a second.
Yeah, but so anyway, I will give them credit for building this Jerry Lynn RVD match, because we all know all the 9 matches they had in ECW were all ridiculous in terms of awesomeness. So that'll be fun. I think I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, I've been a big Bobby Roode fan from the beginning.
Oh, Anarchia. Hernandez and Anarchia, and then Sarita and Rosita are their managers.
Okay. I've been a Bobby Roode fan for a while, when he had the Rick Rudish gimmick 4 or 5 years ago, and obviously I've been a huge Beer Money fan. One of my favorite tag teams.
Yeah, they are. So, they've really built that match so well, and this is their chance finally to do the right thing and have their homegrown star go over big and win the title and have a long, solid run with the belt as being the face of their product. If Angle wins or there's any kind of screw job, then they are really fucking messed up there, down there. Then we'll know what things are, because now I haven't watched it, but from what I've read and heard, Impact has slowly improved over the last few weeks. Of course, Vince Russo's out as head writer. He's now just on the writing team. Bruce Pritchard is the head writer, so we've had a little bit of shakeup. Hogan and Bischoff both re-signed for 2 years, so he'll be sticking around. I'm very curious to see or read about, because I probably won't watch, but how Hogan does. Yeah. How much are their shows anyway? Are they 35, 40?
I think the regular pay-per-views are 20. No. Maybe they're 25.
No, they got to be more than that.
I can't see. Who's going to spend more than $25 for it? Really? This show's probably 35.
Yeah, because then the lineup looks pretty good. I'd maybe I can't imagine paying by myself, but I'd maybe split it and watch it with someone. I don't know.
I'm looking at the site now.
I don't see it on the site.
It's actually it's this Sunday, right? 16th.
Yeah,
it's this Sunday. Let me see. On sale now. Does it even say? There are actually theaters that you can watch it. I think that's pretty funny. They're in Philadelphia. That's where the show is, which I'm actually.
Yeah, that's another interesting point.
Ballsy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how they treat Hogan and Flair. I mean, Hogan and Sting. And I'm really curious and this was going to say, is what Hogan's going to do. If he's going to be able to move at all, they're going to just overbook the shit out of this and have other people take the bumps that he can't take. And I don't know. It'll be interesting.
What is Sting with this weird, what is he, the Joker? Is that what he's
that's been his thing for a while. He's basically doing the Heath Ledger Joker gimmick.
Okay, well, Sting, I'm glad that you're where you want to be. I still think it'd have been better if you went to Vince, but either way.
He's actually been okay in the gimmick. It's kind of, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know if it's getting old or not, but at the time over the summer when I was watching it, it wasn't bad. I'm trying to find it on my DVR to search for it, and I don't see it.
Well, I'm going to go to the Lycura Center, which is actually, I'm not going to guess this time. I'm not sure which college basketball team plays there. I think it's Temple.
Yeah, but they're not going to have the pay-per-view price, though.
Yeah, it's not Temple's home. It's not Temple's home. No, I'm looking to see how much the tickets are.
No, I don't give a shit about the tickets. I'm wondering how much. I'm saying how much the pay-per-view is.
Oh, I know. I'm just checking anyway I'm just looking for those that actually care and want to go because I'm sure it's not sold out.
But you were talking about the pay-per-view before, right? When you said 25.
No, I was. Yeah, no, I was. But I wanted to see maybe if it had it on here. But while you were looking for that, I was looking on the building site to see how much tickets are if anybody cares. Cheapest ticket's $12. Most expensive ticket is $150. Parking is $14 at the Lycor Center. They do have a TNA. They have an Ultimate Fan Experience for $199, which includes a special VIP-only entrance for Bound for Glory, a special Bound for Glory dinner event with Impact Wrestling superstars.
All right, let's see. TNA Bound for Glory, $50 for the HD, $45 for the regular.
That's definitely only for this. I don't even know. That's definitely the only price for.
I don't know. I think they are up there. I don't think.
Really?
I don't think that's $25. I think you're off on that.
Okay. Well, I was trying to think that they would be smart enough to maybe knock their prices a little lower, maybe get more of a because no one's going to pay $45. I mean, maybe they pay $45 for this, but I can't see them paying for a TNA show. But I mean,
all right. Well, regardless, Bound for Glory this Sunday. We'll recap it next week. I'm curious to see what happens with Hogan and Sting, and I was glad to hear that they've pretty much confirmed that Bobby Roode and Angle will be the main event, and not Hogan and Sting, which would have been a mistake, big time mistake.
Yes. And this pay-per-view is sponsored by Direct Auto Insurance. I don't even know who they. I've never even heard of them. So there you go. So Bound for Glory, we'll obviously recap the show next week as best we can, and let you know who wins. But I'm personally pulling for Bobby Roode too. Like I said, I've been a fan of the guy for 4 or 5 years through all of his various incarnations, and I hope he wins on Sunday. Then not a knock on Kurt, but if Kurt wants to if he's good for the business, Kurt will put Roode over.
Yeah, no, he definitely has to.
Yeah. So, all right, why don't we talk about this juicy little tidbit here?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen this many other places. I've seen it on the Wrestling Times, and then the main place I saw it was iReport.cnn.com. I don't know what part of CNN.com that is. iReport. I've never heard of it. I don't know if you have CNN iReport. Is it international? Is that just random people? I don't know.
Let me see. What is it again? Let me type it in. It's CNN.
It's iReport.cnn.com.
iReport.cnn.com. Let's take a look here and see what this is. I think it's connected to it's obviously it's connected to CNN because the logo's coming up on my screen.
Right, yeah, it's definitely connected.
So maybe it's maybe it's some kind of a of course.
Tell a story, offer an opinion, say what's important to you, join the conversation, be heard. Yeah. Oh, it's a user generated section.
Yeah, and obviously CNN is his baby, so I guess you could take that with a grain of salt too. But.
Yeah, user generated. So this could obviously just be, a mark. Getting marked, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But there's a rumor that Ted Turner has bought a majority stake in TNA, and is interested, was getting back into wrestling, and with him and Panda joining forces with their money, could be a dream machine. So you know what? I wanted to talk about it, but now I don't think it's legitimate. The more I look into this, I think it's probably bullshit, which is too bad because I think it really could have helped turn things around. I think it could have been a pretty big deal. But
this site looks like it was made by by a bunch of fourth graders. So
yeah, I don't think it's legitimate. So
Freese just grounded into a double play. So they're heading to the top of the 8th inning in St. Louis. Cardinals still lead 4-3.
All right, so let's quickly do our Lucha Libre review.
Okay.
This week, good show. Next week, big match. So this week we saw Marco Corleone had a big showdown with Lizmark. Lizmark was at ringside. It was pretty funny throughout the first few matches. He was getting his portrait painted at ringside by a painter, and then Marco Corleone came out and ended up dumping paint on it and then running Lizmark into the picture. So
yes,
we had a tag team match. Magno and Rocky Romero, who made his debut, defeated the Treachery, thanks to a mystery man, of course, and it ended up being what was a mystery man? Was it Petey? No, it wasn't Petey again.
No, Petey was last week. Yeah. No, if it's the same mystery
guy,
I
don't think they revealed it.
Last week.
Yeah, I don't think they revealed it.
Yeah, this same guy jumped last week in the match between Radissimo and Relic and Sadistico. The same guy that was in a hoodie with a hood.
Yeah,
over
that's right.
Attack.
Yeah,
so it's the same guy. They haven't revealed it yet.
We had a great interview with R.J. Brewer and P.D. Williams, who are now known as The Right. Good heel promo, really good stuff. And John or RJ's heel cackle has really become one of the top in the business, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is
this great little deadpan laugh. So,
yeah.
Then we had a little bit of a soap opera going on. Tigresa Caliente. We got clips that it was her who spiked Rebecca Reyes' drink, and of course Rebecca Reyes is actually Reedy Sky, who's Matt Hardy's girlfriend. And that allowed Pequeño Halloween to take advantage and convince her to marry him. So now him and Rebecca Reyes are married. And
somebody in that family's got to make money.
Yeah, true. Well, he's still in rehab, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, for now.
So then Pequeño Halloween and Tigresa fought Masquerita Dorada and Octagoncito, and Rebecca interfered and allowed Octagoncito to win that match over Tigresa. So I think I don't know if I'm saying that right or not.
No, you're right. It's Tigresa. Yeah, you're right. And the main event was excellent.
Yes.
If you listened to our, or if you watched the first episode or listened to our recap last week, P.D. Williams made his debut as a partner of R.J. Brewer, dressed as Supernova, and he took out what's that guy, Charlie Malice, and knocked him out of the match. Yep. So P.D. Williams and Supernova had the main event this week, and. Tell me give me your opinion on this. I don't know, but for someone who watched it, for those that watch it, Place to Be Nation, we'd love to see your comments on the Facebook page on this. Do you feel that, as good as the matches are, I feel like that they're having the match at like half speed?
It seems like a little bit. My actual beef is with the production part, where it sounds like they have the crowd completely muted. And, like, the announcer's jacked up. And it's like you can barely hear. It's almost like you're watching it on tape in a room with the announcers. It's just kind of weird. Like, you don't hear the crowd. Maybe it was this week's was kind of fucked up, but... And you can see the crowd, like, cheering and moving, but you can barely hear them. And you couldn't even really hear, like, the action in the ring, either. It was kind of odd, the way they had the audio.
It is very strange. Where is this thing, like in a ballroom or something?
It's the Hard Rock Hotel in New Mexico.
It is the Hard Rock. That's right. Yeah. So because it looked like they're wrestling on a carpet. It's very strange. I don't know. Very strange. But in any event, it's actually. I mean, I'm not knocking the match. No. The guys are working their tails off. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it just seems like they're going at a very deliberate pace. That's as good a way as I could say it. They're not slow. Like Yokozuna slow. I'm saying that they're just going very deliberate. They're not going at like a breakneck Jeff Hardy-ish kind of pace. It's just very deliberate. That's all I'm saying. It was a good match, and our man RJ with a shot in the jubblies there gets the win. And PD hits the, what is it? I think it's the Scottsdale Destroyer now.
Yeah.
Because PD Williams is no longer from Canada. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona. Hits the Scottsdale Destroyer and beats Supernova. Yep. They start beating him down, and they actually unmask Supernova.
Yes.
Takes his mask. I'm digging. I'll tell you, this was where you and I have watched John a lot.
Yep.
And to me, he looked at that moment when he was walking around with that shit-eating grin on his face, holding Supernova's mask. I'm like, I think he has finally hit the peak of a performer. He looked like he was having a blast.
Yeah, it's finally all kind of clicked for him with this role, I think.
Yeah, and he's walking around holding Supernova's mask. I mean, he's such a jack-off. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it seems like he's having. And we talked to him when we were at the show. He seemed to be. He sounded like he was having so much fun doing this. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy for him. And he was just had this shit-eating grin on his face, holding Supernova's mask. So this guy Magdo comes out, one of the other luchas, and challenged our man John/RJ Brewer to a mask versus hair match next week.
And I like John's response. He said, we've already collected one mask. We might as well collect yours as well. So it seems like that's going to be something they start shooting for, collecting masks.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. And
P.D. Williams, I tell you something. When you and I see John again, we got to talk about this or maybe we'll have him on again here on the podcast. I'm curious how excited he is about working with P.D. because P.D.'s a great in-ring guy, perfect guy for him to work with, and it was just exciting. I look forward. I wanted him to win the title last week. Like, he's my personal favorite guy right now. I want him to have everything. I have nothing against Marco Corleone, who's of course Jindrak, they seem to be in the main event feud between him and Liz Mark Jr.
Yep.
But I hope John gets his chance.
I think they will.
Maybe, give him the title.
I think they will.
But so there's your Lucha Libre USA recap. We'll of course continue to give it to you right here on the Place to Be podcast. But please, watch the show. It's 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings on MTV2. DVR it.
Yeah, it's a quick hour.
Yeah, Justin and I both. We don't watch it tonight. We're both very busy, but we get a chance. We do watch it when we can. Please DVR it or tape it or whatever. Or if you're home at 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings, watch it live. It's a great show. It's a lot of fun. That's the only knock. I agree with you. They need to amp up the energy meter. It seems like it could be louder and more exciting.
It reminds me of watching on some of those old Florida clips where it's like Gordon Soley like narrating the action. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like the narrating what's going on instead of like calling the action live.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I didn't think of that. So, but definitely catch it. Again, it's Saturday, and if you go to mtv2.com or mtv2.com, they do post the episodes. This past week's is not there yet, but the first week's is. So if you didn't watch the first week, check out the Fatal 4-Way they have for the title, which, as we mentioned, was won by Liz Mark Jr. It was a very good match, and it's a good show. So if you got a chance, I'm sure they'll post the second one at some point this week. But the first episode is on there. Check it out if you get a chance, and please watch the show. It's a lot of fun. John is a real good friend of ours, and we want to see him succeed. So we want your support. We don't pimp many things. We don't ask for much of our awesome nation, but check it out. It's like Justin. It is a quick hour, don't you think? I almost feel like it's a half hour.
Oh yeah, it flies by. And Shane Helms debuts this week, I believe I read.
Oh, I don't even know he was. Yeah, that's right. I did read that. That's right. Oh, it'll be a lot of fun. I think these little extra guys that have some cred will make it even better. I think it'll make it an even more exciting show. So
I agree.
So there's your Lucha Libre recap. Why don't we take a spell? We got the raw venom out. My PIC still has a lot more to spew.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment. But why don't we take a breather? When we come back, we will have our news and notes segment brought to you by our good friends at WrestleChat.net. But we will take a powder because
promotional considerations paid for by the following midgets playing basketball.
Pro wrestling news websites do you visit to get your daily news? 3, 4, maybe 5? Do yourself a favor and make that number 1. WrestleChat.net, the only professional wrestling news site that brings you all wrestling news all day long, and is home of the critically acclaimed Still Real to Us podcast, starring former CZW, ROH, and ECW announcer Eric Gargiulo and the champ Jeff Beck. That's WrestleChat.net. WrestleChat, it's where it's at.
And if the league and the union don't get off their asses, all we'll be watching for the next 6 months is midgets playing basketball.
Yes.
Please go to WrestleChat.net. Tremendous site. The guys have everything taken care of there. All of your news and notes and recaps. Of course, they have the awesome podcast with our pals there, the champ and the announcer. And they have a message board as well. And if you go to the right there, you will see the link to our Podbean page, and you can go right to our Place to Be podcast. So, WrestleChat.net, it's your home for everything pro wrestling.
All right, of course, all these stories we're going to read right now and discuss are from WrestleChat. So here's the first one, and we teased it before, mentioning Jim Ross. The firing of Jim Ross by John Laurinaitis of last night's Raw Super Show was not in the final script, and most people backstage had no idea it was going to happen. It's also believed Ross didn't know about the angle either. It's noted that JR's wife could be seen at ringside looking excited as he entered the ring for the segment. Ross told a fan on Twitter today that it was embarrassing for his wife and that they were both blindsided. Regarding last night's show, it said that what ended up airing was almost nowhere near what was originally wrote. Everything on last night's show was rewritten more than once. And then there's an
Why
update.
do they seem so why do they seem so panicked?
And, well, let me just read the update quickly.
Sorry.
Jim Ross wrote the following on his Twitter page last night. Let's get something straight. I hired Laurinaitis in WWE when he had no job. I helped him prep for his job, and I remained an EVP in another department. I'm not going to SmackDown to pay-per-views. I'm done the best I know. Might do some roundtable type stuff, but my services aren't required weekly. One more time, I'm fired from Weekly TV. Our products are still being sold at WWEshop.com because it's good business. Thanks for the support. And, of course, he did tweet later that he is going to be in your building. I think next week they're taping a couple new roundtables. So.
Oh, good. Well, I saw him last time he was in. I saw him in the hallway. I said hi to him.
Well, once you
said, "Hey, JR."
I mean, I get why he takes it because it's good money. Keeps the exposure for his barbecue products and with the fans. But I mean, enough's enough for this poor bastard, right? I mean, some part of his tweet maybe seems like it could be a work, but with them and him, you just never know. And I mean, I can't say that the 3-man booth was an overwhelming success with Cole, Lawler, and JR. It was a little bit much, but I don't know if JR was the one that needed to go.
No, I think clearly the one that needs to go is the King. He's just so bland now. He really brings at least Cole, as annoying as he is now, at least is bringing that. At least there's something there. Jerry's just bringing nothing to the table.
I would rather have Lawler as an active wrestler than commentating. I think he could still get things done in angles. Like, he's still a great seller, gets a lot of emotion. We saw the stuff with Cole earlier in the year, and even the stuff with Henry now. To me, or even as like a manager or a mentor, like, I think he'd be better off in that role than he is as an announcer.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I went through the whole thing. I'm not going to go over it again, but just the poor guy he's knocked around like a ping pong ball. Good guy GM, JR's back. Bad guy GM, JR's fired. Good guy GM, JR's back. Bad guy GM. I mean, it's kind of sad. This guy has to be the bellwether for who the fucking GM is on Raw. It's bullshit. It's not right. It's not right. I feel bad for him. I really do. So.
One piece of news I forgot to mention. We don't have a story about it, but I did read that while Foley is in the running for the GM, they're actually trying to get JBL back in the role as well, which would be pretty awesome.
Oh, I would love to see JBL in the role because I think he'd be right down the middle.
Yeah, I think so. He'll just tell it like it is. Yeah,
being a heel would be dull, but you don't want him too milquetoasty or else he loses his edge. He'd be good just being him.
Yeah, he's the closest thing to Jesse Ventura modern day that we have, and I think he'd be good in that role.
Yeah, I agree. So, but if it's not him, then I think it'll be Mick, and that could be interesting too. I mean, if they go back to, I want it to be like old school where he sat in the basement with his little Twins jersey and his little gavel there in the sodas rule.
Well, I heard
that's an order.
He did an interview with Live Audio Wrestling this past week, and he basically all but said he's coming back. So.
Oh, I don't think there's any question he's back. I think the no compete. There's probably a couple weeks left in the no compete. This Cardinal bullpen is just mowing guys down.
Yeah, they look good.
Repzinski just struck out Fielder, and then this guy Mate, I think it is. Just whiffed. What is it? Niger Morgan,
Ricky
who
Weeks.
hates. Or no, it's Ricky Weeks. Niger Morgan struck out earlier in the inning. So we go to the bottom of the eighth, and the Cardinals still clinging to a 4-3 lead.
All right, next story.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's just BS. No, I was just gonna say. I'm back to JR quickly. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. JR is one of the greatest of all time. He doesn't. I don't deserve this, and neither does he. So.
All right, next story. Kevin Nash has reportedly finished filming the movie he's working on towards the end of the week. Nash is expected to return to TV in some capacity before the year is over. Nash also recently got some tattoo work done on his arm. So I'm guessing he'll be part of the whole thing, coming back with Miz and Truth. I think he'll be on that team at Survivor Series, most likely.
Yeah, I agree. And, he'll bring something extra to the table, and he'd be a good muscle for these guys. And
I thought that was a funny line Punk had. When he said Kevin Nash ran or walked, whatever he said, very slowly.
Ran gingerly, yeah. It was pretty funny. Nash will definitely be back, and I see eventually Miz taking control of this group. I think that's why he kind of went through the last few months kind of in the mid card and kind of off the radar a little bit. I think he's going to be the leader of this group. I mean, I think it's his job to take. He's the most charismatic, and no knock on Christian, but Miz is the hot guy right now. He's going to get it. I think he's going to get his opportunity back to be at the top of the heel food chain. So, all
right, next story centers around the Raw I am attending, November 14th, which is now being titled Rock Reunion. There's a press release came out. WWE announced today the most electrifying man in entertainment, The Rock, will return to the city of Boston at the Tea Garden for Monday, November 14th, special 3-hour Raw Super Show. What will happen? The Rock and John Cena meet in Cena's hometown for their first face-to-face encounter since the spring. So, basically teasing that something's going to happen before they team up on Raw. At Survivor Series the next Sunday. So, I was hoping for old school Raw. It doesn't look like it as of now. It looks like it's going to be Rock-centric 3-hour show. So, it'll be cool seeing him though. I don't know the last time I saw Rock live. I guess 2004 I guess 20 was obviously the last time.
Yeah, 20 was the last time. Yeah, you and I both saw him at 20 and at the Raw before.
Yep.
yeah, so just to let everyone know, it's gonna be that week's gonna be very exciting here in the place to be because my PIC will be going to the Raw in Boston with my heated rival Rob Houston.
Yes.
And the next night, the Clown Prince Matt Rotella and I will be going to the SmackDown taping in Bridgeport. So we'll probably a pretty good headline show that week. We'll have some nice, fresh live perspectives, and I'm curious to see about the thing I'm curious about that night is the and if you get a chance, take a peek yourself. I'm curious to see what the hot merchandise stuff is on the stands.
Yeah.
Curious to see what they're pimping. If they have any if they're starting to sell any 28 stuff, with logos and stuff on it. Oh, speaking of, there was a rumor. It's not on the news. I'll say it very, very quickly. I heard it from somebody today that it's pretty much a done deal, and it might be announced within the next couple weeks. That WrestleMania 29 in 2013 is going to be at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington.
Oh, okay.
So I heard that rumbling today. That's not definite, but I've heard that's it's almost a done deal. That's going to be in Dallas. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, huge place, big screen. They have the screen outside. I mean, they would be stupid to not at some point take advantage of it.
Yeah, poor Vancouver gets hosed again.
Yeah, no.
All right, next story is jumping over to TNA. Hulk Hogan's deal is for 2 years, and Eric Bischoff also likely resigned for 2 years. And as we said, Hogan was all over ESPN Media Blitz to promote Bound for Glory today. So a lot going on there. Now, the other news that leaked out kind of unexpectedly, Brock Lesnar was announced that he'll be part of the new video game.
Yes.
And also told ESPN.com he expects to wrestle one more match for WWE. I think I will under the right circumstances. I think if Vince McMahon and I are able to sit down at the same dinner table and break some bread, we could come up with some kind of game plan. At the end of the day, I'm an ultimate fighter. That's who I am, and that's who I'll always be. I was an entertainer, but at the end of the day, I'm still as real as it gets. I think a lot of things have to fall in the right places for something like that to happen. Lesnar's asked who he'd like to wrestle of all the people he never had a match with, and he responds, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ironically, it's probably the guy that walked out on me. The guy took his ball and went home, a guy I was supposed to face, and I think he was just plain downright scared to get in the ring with me. Because he's one of those guys that was on top and saw a huge threat in Brock Lesnar at the time. That's Steve Austin. I worked with everybody and anybody that was anybody there, and if I came back, that's the guy I'd fight. So, interesting.
We all know that was not the reason. He left because he had no problem facing Brock Lesnar in 2002, but he thought it was stupid to give the match away on free TV.
Right.
That was the problem. And the way he went about it was totally wrong, and we've talked about that in the past. And obviously, when we get to that point of the vintage vaults, we'll elaborate on that further. But I think the match itself would be very good. I just want to see him come into the ring and F5 Cena through the announce table. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be a good pop. But speaking of quickly, we talked about the Legends. The Legends list, for those that I know you saw it. The Legends list for the WWE 12 game is awesome. I mean, it is great. It's only like 8 or 9 of them, but it's a great list. Obviously, they have the regular superstars, on Raw, SmackDown. There's free agents, 5 free agents that you can put on either show. And did you know one of them is Edge?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you can wrestle as Edge.
I'm excited about Demolition.
Husky Harris. Yeah, you'd be Husky Harris too. But yes, among the guys on in the Legends list, Arn Anderson, The Rock, Steve
Demolition,
Austin,
right?
Ricky Steamboat, and yes, Axe and Smash. So I've already bet Matt Rotella we're gonna have it because he always buys a game. Incidentally, Randy Orton's on the cover. But did you know that there are different guys on different covers in other countries? For instance, the one that's going to be released in Mexico has Sin Cara on the front. So,
yeah, I think I might. I haven't bought one in a long. I don't even know the last time I bought one. Honestly, I definitely not since I've had PS3. It's one of the PS2 ones, the last one I bought. But
yeah, I'll
probably
WWE
get. I think I'm going to get this one with the with Brock in it and all these other guys. Looks pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I got WWE 10, and I haven't put it in like a year, so I think I'm going to trade it in and get that one. But just, I've already had a bet with him. We're going to have a Road Warriors versus Demolition, Hell in a Cell, weapons. The match that everyone wanted to see.
Nice.
The two teams in their prime annihilating each other with weapons. That's exactly what we're going to do. So get the game. I recommend it. I don't, I like the combination. They seem to have a new concept now. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, and the Legends list. And you can have Steamboat in there and Steamboat facing different. It's going to be fun. I would definitely recommend getting it. There's no doubt. I'm curious to see what it'll look like on your screen. You have a nice HD TV with the PS3. I'm sure it'll look pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Audio
definitely.
will be good. So,
All right.
But yeah.
Last story here, kind of a down note. TMZ reports that Travis Tyson Tomko, 38, was arrested in Florida Monday after law enforcement discovered the former star injecting himself with stolen pain medicine while hiding inside the bathroom of a Chili's restaurant. He's accused of robbing a CVS pharmacy of 210 tablets of oxycodone. On Monday, pharmacist claims Tomko threatened to attack him unless he was supplied with several bottles. The pharmacist complied. Tomko left with 210 tablets of the powerful painkiller. Tomko, however, claimed he did not threaten the pharmacist. According to police report obtained by TMZ, Tomko went to the nearby Chili's where he allegedly injected 178 crushed up and melted down pills into his system while spending 30 to 40 minutes in the restroom. After police were informed of his whereabouts, Tomko was arrested and taken to custody in robbery charge. He told police that he has a severe drug problem. One says that Tomko had needle marks and blood running down his arm and flushed something down the toilet. He was taken to a nearby hospital and then transported to jail where his bond was set. So it seems like this poor bastard is a real mess. Oh my lord, his mugshot is not pretty.
I didn't take a picture of the mugshot, but what is going on?
No, that can't be him. Oh no, here it is. I don't know who the hell that last mugshot I saw. I'm like, what? This guy? This is not Tyson Tomko. I don't know who this one is. Oh, they have Mike Enos's mugshot.
Does it look like Andy Flanagan?
No.
Oh, God. That's funny.
All right. So, yeah, sad story to see that happen, obviously.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So there's your
that's
your
funny.
news and
That's
notes.
not funny.
That's ridiculous.
Huh?
There's your news and notes. Brought to you by our good friends at WrestleChat.net. Poor Tomko. What a mess. God, 178 pills? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like he's in a good spot at all. Hopefully he can get cleaned up before he's in another tragedy.
Yeah, like another guy like Crush or one of those guys. It's not good. Okay, you know what it's time for?
PTB Asshole of the Week. Now, we have a lot of nominees that I'm going to read. But I'm giving you the heads up now. My vote has already been cast. I did it on the page. And it pretty much disagrees with all these other people. So I'm going to leave it up to you this week to decide if my impassioned speech is enough to sway you. And the funny thing is, before this whole thing came out today, that made me vote the way I'm going to vote, actually, there were a lot of ones I agreed with on here that I was having a hard time deciding who I was going to go with. And I think there were a lot of assholes this past week, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jared DiGirolamo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He says it should be the D-bag John Laurinaitis. Todd Weber says our friend Paul Levesque, who's obviously threatened by the impending return of Dwayne. I know you're not going to agree with him. J. Arsenio D'Amato, Hank Williams Jr. When will entertainers, athletes, and nobody learn that nobody cares about your political views? Mm-hmm. Mike Wilkinson, the NBA and NBPA, for not giving us basketball. Now we may have to watch midgets. Matt Souza, the NBA and Players Association, for not coming to an agreement. I personally don't think we're going to see basketball this year. Jason Greenhouse, Kevin Von Erich, what a bitter prick. WWE and the McMahon family have done so much for his family and his family's promotion, including putting out an incredible DVD about World Class, putting his family in the Hall of Fame. His recent comments were uncalled for. Who is he to run his mouth about current and semi-retired WWE talent? They say everything's bigger in Texas. That would include their assholes. I don't know if you saw, Jason posted later, because I asked him for the link here, what Von Erich said. Did you see what he said? He said he gave some opinions on Twitter. The WWE Supercar last night was bad. The cage used to be for a big blow-off the feud. Now they use it to set up the next TV taping. Sad. Texas has produced some great talent. Mark Henry is not one of them. Damn, he is boring. Texas produced great talent like Shawn Michaels, although he was a real jerk as a human being. Undertaker is the true pro. Wade Barrett is a guy who would have fit great in the old territory days. And then he also went back and forth with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is another guy I never saw anything in. He's a prima donna. Jericho says, at least I wore boots in the ring and put a smiley face, obviously trying to diffuse things. Von Erich, but you didn't wear a good attitude. I don't mean to come down on you, but you have an exaggerated opinion of your abilities. I meant I have worn boots when I worked, but I also didn't get blonde highlights in my hair when I was in my 40s. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing Kevin Von Erich on the WCCW 24/7 intros anymore with Michael Hayes.
Yeah, I know. We quickly are in the top of the ninth. Uneski Betancourt leading off against this Mate guy or Mate.
No, there's one out. He's batting second.
Oh, there is one out. Yeah, so there's one out, and Betancourt's up. It's 4-3 Brewers.
All right, Corey Ferreira, NBA and NBPA for not resolving their issues and postponing the season. I agree with Jason as Von Erich comes off as a bitter ex-wrestler, and after what WWE did to cement his family's legacy in recent years, putting them all in the Hall of Fame and the DVD to make such negative comments about the company. Austin Pfaff. Sonny apparently missed recent appearances and was apparently getting wasted. Seems like a good match for Matt Hardy. I didn't see that anywhere, so I'm hoping it's not true, Austin. Sonny seemed like she was finally getting her shit together. Karen Polland. Vince McMahon for humiliating JR once again in front of his hometown. He's the best announcer in the company, hell of all time. Why do they treat him like a piece of dog shit? What does it accomplish? Rob Houston. Daniel Stern. Of course, he meant David Stern, but featuring Daniel Stern of the Players Association argued for letting labor talks go to this long and canceling the first 2 weeks. Jay Hinchy wants to name 2. TNA for keeping Hogan and NBA for acting like crybabies. So it seems like the NBA and NBA Players Association was the overwhelming choice here. And I was ready to agree with them. I was also ready to agree with Vince McMahon for all the JR bullshit, but we spewed that enough. NBA thing really pisses me off because they're coming off such a hot season. It seems like they're very close, but they just can't agree on this, payment difference that they have. Like what is it, 53 to 47 split right now. So, but early this morning, a story came out, Boston.com, which is the Boston Globe.
Yep.
Bob Hohler wrote this. Talking more about the dysfunction of the Boston Red Sox, of course, the biggest collapse in regular season baseball history. And in it, there's anonymous sources, right? And these anonymous sources talk about some of the stuff that's going on. Beckett, Lester Lackey, the 3 pitchers, drinking beer, eating fried chicken, playing video games during games where they're not pitching. Obviously, not a good thing. But then they start taking shots at Terry Francona. They basically say he was jacking himself up on pain meds. He was basically calling him a drug addict. And then saying he was having personal issues. He's living in a hotel because he split up with his wife. And they're saying that affected his job performance. Basically throwing this guy under the bus. This guy has done nothing. He didn't say a word when they let him go. He didn't go out trashing the team or saying anything negative. He's gone. Why do you have to take these shots at him now? Calling him a drug addict and dragging his personal life into things. Then you got Theo Epstein, who is on his way out now. He signed a deal with the Cubs, 5 years, $20 million, still waiting on compensation. And he's barely out the door, and they're already trashing him, too, basically throwing him under the bus for the season. All of a sudden, he's not the boy genius that he once was. Now, all of a sudden, the guy that's supposed to take over, this Charrington guy, they're saying he's the one that was really behind all these signings and everything. It's just ridiculous. And the Boston media, who usually can't wait to ball wash the Red Sox, no matter what they do, has actually turned on them, and they are today on the radio. The Red Sox just got destroyed for the way they treated Terry Francona with this, and that is absolutely no secret that the anonymous sources in the story were the owners, Henry, Lucchino, and Warner, the 3 fucking morons. Lucchino's of course the biggest douchebag, so. They're not hiding the fact that it was them. Basically saying they're trying to stay ahead of this whole story because they're the ones being victimized and villainized over this whole thing. And I just don't see why a guy, Terry Francona, who obviously is well-respected, very well-respected, classy guy, never said a bad word about anyone. I don't see the need to come out and trash him now to save face. Do you see any reason behind doing that? Why are you going to come out and start saying he's addicted to pain meds and all this other shit? I just don't get it. It's a classless, unlikable team. It's a classless, unlikable ownership. For a team that just a couple years ago was supposed to be the model franchise, doesn't look like the model franchise anymore. Completely falling apart. The GM who grew up in that franchise that was supposedly like a son to the owner, leaving his dream job to go to the fucking Cubs. Then, and then Terry Francona forced out of there. You have all this other stuff coming up with the players who didn't care. Kevin Youkilis, he's being ripped too, saying that, he was unbearable to be around in the clubhouse. And Jacoby Ellsbury had the best season of his life, and all he did was talk to Jed Lowry and minded his own business. He couldn't stand being around anybody else after they all trashed him last year for being injured. Just a lot of issues there. David Ortiz, of course, threw Francona under the bus. Adrian Gonzalez crying about playing Sunday night games. Other than Dustin Pedroia and Jonathan Papelbon, of all people, everyone else on that team was just a bunch of bitches and crybabies this year. And I am loving listening to them being destroyed because all we got shoved down our throat by ESPN and every other outlet in this area was what a model franchise, what a great franchise, how they were the best franchise in baseball and all this other bullshit. And now to watch them come crumbling apart is pretty entertaining, I must say. So they were my assholes of the week. Are mainly Larry Lucchino and his band of fucking morons, and they're more interested in building their Nessun brand and Roush Racing and Liverpool soccer and all this other horse shit to worry about the baseball team. And there's a lot of issues there, and it's gonna be a while, I think, before they can turn this around. We'll see who they bring in as a manager, but they got a lot of issues to deal with, and it'll be interesting. And I think they basically cost themselves Ellsbury. I can't see him sticking around when his contract's up. So the main thing that pissed me off was the Francona stuff, though. I don't get why they had to drag that shit into it. So NBA and Vince McMahon, you're both assholes, but to me, the Red Sox organization are the assholes of the week.
Okay. Just incidentally, the Mott, this closer for the Cardinals, struck out the last two guys. He struck out Betancourt and struck out McGahee. So the Cardinals win 4-3, and they lead the NLCS 2-1.
Unreal.
So, yeah, unbelievable. I thought the Brewers were going to be unstoppable. And once again, now here's a team opposite of the Red Sox. These ragtag Cardinals, and Tony La Russa's a dick. But
I can't stand him either.
But he brings this ragtag bunch of guys to the postseason every year, and they always find a way to fucking do something. So, can't argue. The Freese had 3 hits, 2 doubles tonight, so the Cardinals are up 2-1, and now the Rangers are up 3-1. You make a lot of good points. However, I am not going to pick the Red Sox for assholes of the week because, frankly, this doesn't surprise me. They're a bunch of fucking heartless pricks anyway.
What a classless bunch of jackasses.
They are just absolute scumbags, and I haven't even brought this up to the clown prince there, Matt Rotella, who I'm sure is going to pull out his violin and try and...
No, all he'll do is put on Full House. He barely watches anyway. But, there's actually one other funny story that I wanted to tell you that happened here. Of course, they had all the issues coming off the road trip, and as we talked about throughout the year and recently, all they did all season was cry about the scheduling and everything else was an issue. So they had that really long road trip. They came home, and that's when the hurricane was coming. So what they ended up doing was scheduling the doubleheader for Friday, so they could have the weekend off for the hurricane. And the players all bitched and complained and all vetoed it, saying, no, we just played 14 to 17 games on the road. We don't want to play a doubleheader. Wah, wah, wah. Actually, it was Saturday instead of Friday, rather. So they swept the doubleheader, and that ended up being the last time they won 2 straight games the rest of the year. That was at the end of August.
Yep.
Sox owners suspected that the team's poor play is related to lingering resentment over the scheduling. So the owners responded by having a party on their yacht, John Henry's yacht, and gave them all $300 headphones as a gift. And they thought that was going to turn them around. So I don't know. The whole fucking morons, honestly. I don't know who's a bigger jackass. If the owners are doing shit like that or the players are crying over the schedule. But I saw possibly the funniest tweet of all this today was, there's a rumor out there that the Red Sox preferred cash from the Cubs as compensation for Theo instead of players. And Scott Zolak, who's on 98.5 The Sports Hub, tweeted tweeted that maybe they want the cash to cover the expense of the $300 headphones that they bought. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, the whole thing's a mess. It's been pretty enjoyable up here hearing the media, who, like I said, always was all over the Red Sox, kind of turning on them finally.
Okay. Well, as much as the Red Sox were the defending asshole of the week champions, I'm just so mad about this JR business that I'm making Vince the asshole of the week.
All right, I can't disagree. I mean, I really can't. So
what they did Monday night was total and absolute bullshit. It was not right. In his hometown, with his wife there, booking it right then and there. That's what makes it even worse. They booked it right then and there.
Yeah.
You know what? Why don't we fire JR tonight? Ha 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 ha! That'd be really funny.
Yeah, it was obviously done just to fuck with him. Obviously.
Yeah, it's bullshit. But the Red Sox get a close second, and definitely this NBA situation is just turning into a disaster. One of the best seasons in a long time. The opposite of the Red Sox, a good team of good guys like the Dallas Mavericks, defending world champions. You got all these hungry, you got our teams, the Celtics and the Lakers, maybe one more foot left in the grave. But you got these awesome young up-and-coming teams like the Bulls and the Hawks and the Thunder. This season was going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And all for what, 3%? Really, 3% of this of this merchandise thing? That's $120 million. Really? We're going to cry about $120 million? Really?
And I still think that I think they'll play. I think once the players start missing those paychecks in a couple weeks, I think they'll cave.
I do too.
But the whole thing is just a joke. And really, the people that are being hurt by this are the arena workers and the team workers that, don't make millions of dollars, that right now are out of jobs and can't support themselves because these greedy players are locked out. So,
Yeah, I mean,
and greedy owners, they're all greedy. So, those are the people that are really being hurt by this. So I think we got a three-way for the asshole of the week. I think NBA, Vince, and Red Sox are all equally big douchebags this week.
Yeah, we were talking to one of the ops in our master control room. When he's in there, him and I always have a conversation about it. He's a big Knicks fan. And you made a good point, and you both made the same point. Think of the arenas. Now, when you're in an arena that has, like the Garden, you still have the Rangers, so there's a lot of places. Obviously the Hub still has the Bruins, but think about the Target Center, Minneapolis. They only have the Timberwolves.
Well, they have the Wild.
The Wild play in St. Paul.
Oh, really?
The Wild play at the XL Energy Center, completely different venue. The Timberwolves only play at the Target Center only has the Timberwolves. So the Wild play in St. Paul. So without basketball, what the hell's going to go on there? So a lot of people are going to be, a lot of people that work part-time there that make money that live off of all that hoops over 6 months are going to have nothing. What do they have? Some fucking ice capades and maybe some wrestling shows, and it sucks. All this over because they're whining about 3%, which is like $100 and something million. Really. It's horseshit. But yeah, it's a three-way. It's tough to gauge between Lucchino and those dickheads, Vince, and the rest of that brain trust, and people that have too much money and too much time on their hands. It's just stupid millionaires. Not right. So there's your assholes of the week. Red Sox management and players. Vince McMahon and the WWE brain trust for not only a shitty Raw, but for throwing poor JR over the fucking gangplank again, and the entire NBA legal situation, which is just sucks.
Yep.
I'm missing it. I don't mind seeing some extra hoops. The Lakers are actually supposed to. I have it on my thing. The Lakers are actually supposed to play a preseason game tonight. It was going to be on Fox Sports West Coast. They're going to play the Hawks, but not happening.
Well, like I said, I think they'll cave at some point, but
yeah, I think they will too.
Obviously, we don't have to do another baseball update. We've been updating it all night, so
right.
I guess that only leaves one thing for tonight.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And boy, do I need to make a comeback, because I had an absolutely abysmal week last week, 6-7 in our 13 games, and there are some teams that I'm just done with. I've lost all patience with them, and I'm gonna defer to my PIC. You were right on a couple of teams.
Tampa
the
Bay?
team that sticks out of my mind. No, not Tampa Bay. You were right about the Cardinals. I'm done with them and their shitty
awful.
defense. They're awful.
Well, I was right about Detroit beginning of the year. You were down on them before the year.
The Lions, I didn't think they were going to be this good. Yeah. I knew they were going to be better, but I didn't think they were going to be this good.
Yeah. I won 9.
Here we go.
I won 9 games, 9-4 last week. So where's that put us?
Okay,
then?
so I went 6-7. So that puts you've closed, because you were down by 5 games last week. So you've closed the gap to 2.
Are you in the league? Yeah, you are. Right? What's your name in that one?
Yeah. Yep.
Big Blue Queer? No, Picking Big Blue, is that you?
No, I'm Worship the Star.
Oh.
Picking Big Blue Queer. What?
No, so according to this, you're off on something. According to this, we're 45 and 45, both of us. 45 and 32.
Oh.
We both have 45 wins. So.
All right, because you had said you were all right. So we're tied right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So week 6. Here we go, folks. Week 6 of the 2011 NFL season. We have 6 byes again. The following teams have the week off: the Denver Broncos, the Tennessee Titans, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Arizona Cardinals, the San Diego Chargers, and the Seattle Seahawks. So we have 13 games, a lot of interesting matchups. We, of course, have 7 1 o'clock games, 4 4:15 4 o'clock games. We have our NBC game Sunday night, and, of course, the Monday night game. And we got a lot of tough matchups this week. Yeah. We go right off the bat with the first one from Ford Field in Detroit. Your aforementioned Detroit Lions, big Monday night win over the Bears, but they I don't say this is a trap game, but this is not a cakewalk. This is for the Lions. They take on right now a surprisingly good San Francisco 49ers team. Niners are 4-1.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all.
No, what a game this is going to be. But you know what? This is one of those ones where you got to take the home crowd. If this game was out at Candlestick, I would give the edge. But I mean, right now they're just playing on such a high level right now, particularly at home I got to take the Lions at home. I think they'll win this game.
Well, interesting. I was looking at the schedule. Now, Detroit and Green Bay play Thanksgiving Day at noon.
Yes.
They both have schedules where they could still both be undefeated. It won't be easy for them to get there, but they have all winnable games. Mm-hmm. So that'd be pretty awesome if they were both undefeated going into Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and that's usually the throwaway game on Thanksgiving.
Yep. So it's gonna be either way. It's gonna be a great game. So
yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I agree with you. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, I take Detroit here too. I just think I think that is better. I think San Francisco, obviously, they're gonna have the flying from the west to the east. The 1:00 start always affects those teams. I think San Francisco's good, but they're good for the NFC West. I don't see them going into Detroit and knocking off Detroit. But if anyone's defense can do it, they might be able to slow them down. But I think Detroit wins this. I think it'll be a good game, but Detroit wins.
Okay. All right, so we both take the Lions in that one. Our next game, and this is my lock of the week, takes us to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where, I mean, maybe one team that might be just looking statistically better than the Lions. Right now, the Packers are just playing on just a separate level from so many other teams.
Yeah,
they're just ridiculous, and I think they're going to absolutely obliterate the Rams. And we got some issues, man, with our Rams. But this is a game. Even if they were playing well, this was a game they weren't going to win.
No, I've been dying to get to the easy part of the Rams schedule, but unfortunately they're going to have no wins by the time we get there, so it's going to be probably too late. I think the easy part of the schedule actually starts next week, and it pretty much goes to the end of the year. Now, the only good thing for them, they haven't played anyone in division yet, so they could theoretically go undefeated in the division, which isn't out of the question for them if they get their shit together, and could still be in that race. I mean, I think they could win the division with 8 wins if San Francisco gets derailed a little bit. So, I can't see them ever winning in Lambeau like this. So, yeah, Green Bay obviously wins here. But I don't think St. Louis, only because of the division they're in, I don't think we can write them off yet. I may be being delusional, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. But that's my lock of the week. Packers will win big at home this week over St. Louis. We move on to the Georgia Dome in Hotlanta, where a team that needs a win more than anything is the Atlanta Falcons, and they host the Carolina Panthers, who are playing well. This is a big game in the division because they lose this game, they'll be 3 back in the loss column to New Orleans if the Saints win their game. We'll get to theirs in a couple minutes. I have to pick the Falcons, and I think Cam Newton's going to go down there in the turf and put on a hell of a show, and I think they'll rack up yards. But I got to pick the Falcons. They have to win this game. There's no two ways about it. They lost at home Sunday night to the Packers. A very different game than a game you and I watched when they played that Sunday night game at home against the Eagles. Looked very different this past Sunday night. But this is a game they have to win. I'm taking the Falcons. They have to win.
I really want to take Carolina as my upset pick, but I'm a big believer in the teams that need a win. Atlanta needs good teams that need a win, and Atlanta needs a win. So to me, they get this one done. If they don't, I think we stop talking about them as any kind of contender for anything, and I think we start looking at Carolina as maybe the team that could challenge a little bit for a wild card, or Tampa. So Atlanta, a team we both thought very highly of. This is really an early must-win game for them.
Yes. So we both take the Falcons in that one.
Yeah.
We move on to Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Bengals host the Indianapolis Colts. And as much as I'd like to think that at some point the Colts are going to win a game, in the last couple of weeks they've hung around against teams. I watched them a lot in college because my job, my client, aired a lot of TCU games. I love Andy Dalton. The guy's a born leader. He's a good quarterback. I'm digging the Bengals right now. I like them at home in this game.
Yeah, I like them too. They really should be 4-1 and really could be 5-0. They could have beaten the 49ers and could have been in control in that division. I think they're a frisky team. I like them. They got a really good defense. I like Dalton. I like AJ Green. And Cedric Benson is a solid running back. Obviously, they're just a very good fundamental team. And who would have thought it, coming off of what they were a couple of years ago. So, yeah, they win this game. And I hate taking all these favorites, but I don't see too many underdogs I like this week.
Well, this game is our next game I consider a toss-up. And after 1 week, a couple weeks ago, where the Snoopy Bowl was empty, the Snoopy Bowl will be very busy this weekend as both the Giants and the Jets are home this week on different nights, of course. 1 o'clock on Sunday from MetLife Stadium. The Giants host Buffalo. Wow, this is crazy. If the Giants had beaten Seattle last week, I would have picked the Giants in this one, but I don't know what to do here because Buffalo is playing at a very high level right now. Their one loss was a winnable game at Cincinnati. The Giants just looked very error-prone and made a lot of mistakes in the loss this past week to the Seahawks. I don't know what to do here. You know what? I've really enjoyed watching Eli in fourth quarter games this year. I think this is going to be a very fun game up and down the field. I think Eli gets the last word. I like the Giants at home.
I'm taking the Giants too, and I'm doing it on two levels, with my head and with my heart. My heart because Buffalo was a fun story for a while, but as a Jets fan, I needed to start losing. and this is a big boy game. You know, I've talked about big boy games a couple times this year. This is a big boy game. Buffalo, you want to be big boys. You want to hang with New England and these other teams. Go into the Meadowlands or the MetLife and knock the Giants off. Let's see you do it. I don't think they can. I think the Giants bounce back from that disaster against Seattle. I think they're a good enough team that's an aberration, not the norm. So I don't see them dropping another game at home like this. I think they bounce back, and I think they get a lot of pressure on Fitzpatrick. And I think Buffalo scores early with them, but I think the Giants pull away late. So I like the Giants here.
Okay. We move on to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, where, in my opinion, the way you've been talking since we've been doing our picks this year, you might as well buy some black and gold stuff because no one's been trumpeting the Steelers' cause more than you have. And I doubted them last week, and they proved me wrong. They played awesome in beating the – they didn't play awesome. I mean, statistically, you know,
yeah, they stomped them. I watched a lot of that game on Red Zone. They stomped them. But Roethlisberger, yeah. I mean, they have no O-line, and he's hobbling around on one leg, and they still beat them handily. So
yeah,
I think that's as good as a game you're going to get from them at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you'll see it again this week. They host Jacksonville. The Jaguars just can't score. I mean, Gabbert's trying. He's learning. It's a learning process for him. It's like training camp. The Steelers win this one easily. Yeah,
Jacksonville's one strength is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're not going to run on Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I like Pitt here. That's my lock of the week. I no way Jacksonville goes in there and beats Pittsburgh. It's going to be like the Seattle game a few weeks ago where they shut them out. I can't see Jacksonville getting more than 3 or 6 points.
Okay. Our final 1 o'clock game takes us to FedEx Field in Washington, where cringes me to say this, the first-place Redskins host the Philadelphia Eagles, who, God, nothing makes me happier this year. Next to the Phillies losing in the division series, nothing's making me happier than this dream team circling the bowl week by week. I could have told you in August that this Eagle offensive line is absolutely horrendous, and it continues to be so. Is Washington good enough to take advantage of this? I don't know. I'm going to give them one. I hate to say this, but I'm going to give the Eagles one more week. I'm going to give them one more week to get their head out of their ass. This is a winnable game for them. They're a more talented team. I can't see Rex Grossman just continuing this magic carpet ride. So I'm going to give that stupid bastard Andy Reid one more shot. I'm taking the Eagles on the road.
I'm taking them too because, like I said before, must-win game for a team that's talented enough to win it. Andy Reid is coaching for his job in this game. If they lose this game and go to 1-5 and pretty much done for the year with that team, I can't see him staying around. I think they might fire him now. So I think playing for his job, coaching for his job, I think they bounce back. Like you said, Washington, I think playing a little bit over their heads. I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're a team that you can say, oh yeah, they're going to stomp Philly at home. If they do, then we have a new power balance shift in that division. So I think Philly in a must-win goes into Washington and wins it.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the 4 o'clock games. And here's another fascinating matchup. We go to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, where the Ravens will host the Houston Texans. Now, I'm a little... Oh, by the way, we'd like to quickly say a memoriam to one of the most unique sports personalities of all time. And you should relate to this, my PIC, because your beloved owner is a lot like this guy. Al Davis, the longtime owner of the Oakland Raiders and a patriarch and a torchbearer of professional football, passed away on Saturday at the age of 82. The guy was a kook, but, just win, baby, commitment to excellence, and he was the Raiders.
Yep.
The difference between him and, of course, your beloved George Steinbrenner dying is that at least Steinbrenner had a plan in place for the Yankees.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell the future of the Raiders is, to be honest with you. I have no clue.
Well, emotional win for them going into Houston and winning that game.
Yeah. I would have picked the Raiders last week if he had died before our picks. But Houston, this is a weird game for them. They lose a game at home. They probably should have won. And now they're going into Baltimore to play a Ravens team that's kind of back feeling good about themselves, particularly defensively. I can't see the Texans winning this game. I'm going with Baltimore at home.
No, me too. Another big boy game. Houston wants to prove that they're a legit contender, go into Baltimore and win that game. I don't think they do. I can't say Baltimore's offense looked that great. I mean, even in the game where they crushed the Jets, that was all defense. Flacco did nothing. So we'll see. But I think Baltimore, especially no Mario Williams playing for Houston. I don't think Andre Johnson's back yet either. So they're severely hurt. Of course, they traded for Derek Mason last night from the Jets. But we'll get to the Jets mess in a minute. Because I have a lot to say about that too. So I like Baltimore here as well.
Okay. Speaking of the aforementioned Silver and Black, we move now to Alameda County Coliseum in Oakland, where the Raiders will host the Cleveland Browns. I like Oakland in this game. I think they're going to be very emotional still. I think they're going to still ride high. It's the first home game since the death of Al Davis. So I think the fans are going to be jacked. I think they're going to be jacked. Jason Campbell has actually not had a bad year.
No, he's playing well. The whole team's playing well.
Yeah, Cleveland's 50-50. You don't know what kind of team you're going to get out of them, what kind of game you'll get out of them. I'm going to take the Raiders at home.
I think they get a chance to win that division. And this is a big step towards doing that. So I take the Raiders here as well. Cleveland, I don't think they have much in the tank.
Okay.
I don't
like
this.
Move
I
on.
have all favorites. I do not like this at all.
Well, you could jump on my bandwagon now.
No.
We move on to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, where the Patriots host the Dallas Cowboys. And you know who I'm going to pick. But I'm going to make this my upset of the week. This game could be a glorious moment for me as a Cowboy fan, or I could get kicked in the nuts again. Tony Romo is going to go out there. He's just going to close his eyes and shred that Pats secondary. Whether they win their game or not, I have no clue. But I guarantee you that the Cowboys will be leading going into the fourth quarter. Whether they hold it is up to Tom Brady and the Cowboy defense. You're going to see. I think Rob Ryan's going to come up with some special packages. I think you're going to see some blitzes. You're going to see Ware and these guys and Brady James and the kid Lee kind of freak him out a little bit. Question is, can the secondary cover Welker and those awesome tight ends? That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a battle of which secondary is going to suck less, to be honest with you. Obviously, I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm curious to see your thought on this.
I want to pick Dallas. I think they can win this game. I just don't want to get my heart broken or my hopes up. I'm picking New England. I'm rooting big time for your Cowboys.
All right. Well,
the difference is I think the Jets could have won that game. I'm going to talk about it more when we get to the Jets, but their just game plan was ass backwards. And Dallas isn't going to have an ass backwards game plan. They're going to throw, and they're going to be able to hang. Miles Austin is back now as well, so that's big for them. I think they can hang with them. I want to see Romo pull it out. I'm rooting for him to pull it out in the fourth quarter and probably win a big game. I think they could do it. I can't pull the trigger on picking them because New England is like John Cena to me. You pick them until they lose, until they prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So until they prove me wrong, I got to pick them. But I'm rooting for your boys.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be a fun game. Another fun game, and this is a big game for this division. We move to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, where the Bucks host New Orleans. And obviously, whatever happens in that Falcons Panthers game is huge. Because the Falcons blow that game, and the Saints win this game, you're looking at a 3-game deficit in that division, and that's not good.
Now, have they played? They haven't played yet, though, right?
Who?
New Orleans and Atlanta.
In Atlanta? No, not yet. I picked them to have a good year. They looked horrible last week against the 49ers.
Horrible.
But
I think begin to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, they were terrible.
Yeah, but they even struggled to beat Indianapolis, though. So it's not like they had they have not looked strong at all. And to go into San Francisco and get mollywopped like that, that was just ugly. So I just don't.
You're pulling out some good $2 words tonight. Mollywopped. I like that. I think you need to spell that on the Facebook page.
They got mollywopped twice over on Sunday. So I can't see them beating New Orleans right now. New Orleans is kind of firing on all cylinders, and Drew Brees is unreal. So I looked at this one as maybe because I wanted to take a couple underdogs, but I just can't see Tampa beating them. I don't know. And Blount is probably going to be out too, which is a big blow to them. So
yeah, I'm going to have to take him off my fantasy team this week. But I want to pick Tampa. I was very high on them in the preseason, but they just looked hideous last week. And New Orleans right now wants to try and accrue as many wins as possible. So I'm going to take the Saints on the road as well. I want to pick Tampa, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Nope.
We move on to the Sunday night game on NBC from Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears host Minnesota. I didn't like the way the Bears looked on Monday night.
No.
Minnesota finally, I think, has figured out just hand the ball up to AP.
Yeah.
And just let him do everything. I think Donovan McNabb's got to finally realize he is a role player quarterback now. This is AP's team.
Yep.
I think he's going to run on this Bear defense. I like the Vikings on the road.
Yep, that's my upset of the week. The only underdog I'm taking, Minnesota. I agree. I think they finally starting to understand their offense, and I think they're going to pressure Jay Cutler quite a bit. And that offensive line's a train wreck as well. So Minnesota goes into Chicago, picks up a needed win as well. And yeah, they'll make a little bit of noise. The division is too strong for them to compete, but I think they'll finish kind of strong, honestly.
And then finally, we go to Monday night at the Snoopy Bowl as Gang Green hosts the Miami Dolphins. I'm just going to ask you right now, point blank, how do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel like this is an absolute team that needs to win. And hang on, sorry, I was off.
That's right, yes.
Okay.
I didn't even think you were going to care because we were talking about your.
And this will be it will be at night this week.
Yes. Well, there you go. Speaking of mollywopped or gollywopped, whatever you said a minute ago, you've been mollywopped 3 weeks in a row.
No, the Patriots game was a lot closer than it looked, actually. And they could have won that game if their fucking defense could have stopped the Patriots on that last drive. They had a chance to win it. I just don't get the game plan. I understand they came out, they said, yeah, we want to get Sean Green going. We want to get back to the ground and pound. We've gotten away from that. Blah, blah, blah. The problem is you're playing the statistically the worst pass defense in NFL history through 4 weeks. Now is the week you choose to tell Mark Sanchez to stop throwing and to run 800 times with Sean Green, who actually had a good game. But, when you keep pounding it, and their play selection, I think, is 25-23. I mean, come on. This is the worst fucking pass defense in the league, and you're not passing on them. This is the game you could have used to get Sanchez's confidence back as well. Maybe if he goes and throws up 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, now he's got his confidence back. Instead, I like it. I was talking to someone today. I compared this to what the Yankees do with Jabba Chamberlain, just kind of yanking him around. Oh, you're a starter, you're a reliever. You're a starter, you're a reliever. And then they fucking finally ruined his arm. This is what the Jets have done to Sanchez. Red light, green light. Red light, green light. Throw, don't throw. Throw, don't throw. Oh, no, don't throw a pick. Okay, let it air it out. Here, we're going to give you all new receivers. Now, start throwing to them. Oh, no, wait, hang on. We're going to run again. It's like, just let the guy fucking play. If they pass, I think they could win that game. As it is, they only lost by 9. The defense, they seem to rely too much on the game plan from last year, and they ended up letting Ben Jarvis Green Ellis run all over him like he was fucking Barry Sanders. So I don't really get the team just seems kind of stuck in this quagmire that started in Oakland, bled into Baltimore where the offensive line just crumbled and Sanchez got destroyed. And then in a winnable game, and it would have been a huge game in New England, they totally fuck up their game plan and screw up on offense. And now if they lose this game against Miami at home, which I don't think they will, if they do, Brian Schottenheimer's gone for sure if they lose this game. And there's going to be a lot of other house cleaning. Now, they traded Derek Mason because there's a story out there how him and the other receivers went and bitched about Schottenheimer's play calling. And apparently Mason was being too much of a politician and really wasn't doing shit on the field. So they sent him packing for, I think, a bag of game balls. And now Jeremy Curley, who's looked very good, as a punt returner and as a receiver, is going to step into the third slot. The conspiracy theorist in me a little bit wonders, opening this third wide receiver slot, any chance they go sniffing around Randy Moss a little bit? They could use a big game-changing receiver, and Rex Ryan has said before he wouldn't mind bringing him in. And, if you bring in Moss on an incentive-laden contract, looking to prove himself, and especially playing against the Patriots again, and I'm not totally against it. I can see it maybe working out and giving Sanchez another big target. So we'll see where they go.
I think it's up to the financials. I think that comes with the financials.
Well, they're $9 million under the salary cap, so they got room.
Right. No, I mean, like you said, guarantee is compared to incentives. You're not going to give the guy...
I think he'll come back for half a season for a couple mil. I think no problem at all. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I think they have to win this game, obviously. Matt Moore on the road against that Jets defense. I don't expect just a win. I know Miami always plays them tough, and they usually split with them, and even got swept by them a couple years ago. But come on. It's fucking Matt Moore and Reggie Bush coming in here. Let's go. I want another win like I called for against Jacksonville. I want to see like a 40-5 win where only Miami gets maybe a safety or something. But no, I want to see a solid defeat here of a bottom-feeding team.
Right.
And what do you think they can do with Sperano? Obviously, they're not going to fire him. They didn't fire him going into the bye week. So
well, his contract's up at the end of the year. I think he'll just coach out and then leave. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they got to be bottoming him out, right? Trying to get Andrew Luck. I mean, at this point,
it's going to come down to them or the Colts. But you know what? I mean, I've said this from the beginning, and again, I'm a little biased because I love Tony. I knew him very well when our good friend Dr. G and I were in school, and we knew him when he was a head coach at UNH. He's a good guy. He's got a nice family. He's a good coach, and I think Bill Parcells just handed him a bunch of nothing no skill positions, a slow defense, and and the first year he was there, they somehow won the AFC East. I don't know how the hell they pulled that off, but I think the last 2 years you've seen a lack of skill, a lack of speed, show up here, and they have no skill. Reggie Bush, what the hell? Waste money on that loser.
Why? What was the deal? Had Darren Sproles already signed when they signed Bush? Because I would have rather had him.
Yeah, I think so. I think Sproles has been with the Saints. I think it was pretty soon after the free agent period started. Yeah, he was pretty quick. But everybody wants to think Reggie Bush reminds me a lot of the running back version of Tim Tebow. That I think the guy wants to succeed, and obviously his college career is nothing more than a fucking joke now. So I just wish that Tony was given some more talent at the skill positions, and the team would have been better. Obviously, I'm picking the Jets. You guys need to win this game. There's just no two ways about it, and I think you will. I hate to see you blow them out, but you probably will. I think you guys just need to hang them out and goozleberry them, or whatever the hell you said before. I think you just have to hang your nuts out and beat them. You have to. 3 straight losses. You had said at the beginning of the year that at least one of these 3 games you'd lose. I don't think you expected to lose in Oakland. And
no, I said they needed to win one of them on the road.
Yeah,
I was hoping for one win. The Oakland game is the one they really let get away, and I think this New England game is the one that's going to haunt them, because I still think if they have the right game plan, they could have beaten that team, because the Patriots didn't gash them. Yeah, they put up 30 points, but if you watch that game, it was never really out of control, and they got that turnover at halftime. And I actually heard an interesting theory today from Bill Barnwell. Said he thought that turnover actually hurt the Jets. He thinks they would have been better off if the Patriots scored there and took a bigger lead, because they would have been forced to start throwing, and he thinks they could have came back into the game by throwing. Instead, they were just down a score going into the half, and they still didn't abandon that game plan. So interesting there. So there you have it, Week 6 of the NFL. Okay.
Yep.
And I think that's all we got for the show as a whole. So
yeah, just to confirm, my lock is the Packers, your lock is the Steelers, my upset is the Cowboys, and your upset is the Vikings.
Yep.
So.
All right, so there you have it. There's the headlines. Hope you enjoyed it, as always. If you have any feedback, get at us. We already have the thread up for Survivor Series 1993. We'll be recording that Friday night and be posting that over the weekend, so check that out. And we'll be back next week with more headlines and, of course, another Asshole of the Week. And I guess that's it, right? Anything else you got?
No, we did a great job. Good job as always, my friend. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you from Boston Garden, November '93.
Yes, we will see you then. So until then, have a great weekend. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
Until I get my way. I won't